Shut up and sit down.
Okay, welcome back everybody to the Midnight Showing. I'm Dan Connors, and I'm here with my beautiful, wonderful fiance, Chelsey.
Hi everyone!
In this episode, we saw Captain Marvel. I think this is the first Marvel movie we've done? I can't remember.
Did you guys do Infinity Wars?
No, we didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, no. Bayless and I did Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think that was the first one. So we saw this actually a couple days ago, and I already forget like half of it.
Same.
Yeah.
I really went into it thinking I would like it. It's the first Marvel movie where they had a strong female lead in it, and I really went into it thinking I would absolutely love it. And
Yeah, because you liked Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Which everyone compares this to.
Like, I thought it was going to be like Wonder Woman, but a Marvel character.
And I mean, people give like Wonder Woman crap for, weird storytelling and whatever, but like for the most part, like she did a good job in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was weird.
It was all over the place, and it was really hard to like follow the storyline. And I mean, I watch so many movies, and I'm not a person to really dislike a movie. So the fact that I was just like really confused.
Well,
like,
the whole
through part of it.
movie was just it was like 100 minutes of exposition, and then however many minutes left of just her being cool in a suit.
It felt very rushed.
Like it was just so much exposition. It's different a lot because with these superhero movies, you have to do like obviously an origin story, but it felt like the whole movie was an origin story, which it is. But I mean, like in a way that I don't know. Okay, if you compare it to like the first Iron Man, like that's an origin story, but I don't know. It didn't feel the same. Where it was like just it felt like Captain Marvel is dragged out over those 100 minutes instead of just kind of telling her story simply and then getting to her like having to solve a problem, I guess you could say. And it felt like we were just being given who she was over and over again and like adding these problems that just kept coming up in her past that didn't really impact anything, and then like teasing a story with like the Skrulls and stuff, and then right at the end everything was fixed.
Yeah, and then that's when I got to see all of her badass moves and superpowers.
Well, yeah, I think I said it earlier. It was like 100 something minutes of wasting my time and 10 minutes of cool action.
Yeah.
Like I said that like right as we came out. And that's what it felt like. It was just like so much, just I don't know, weird storytelling, especially like the montages and stuff.
Yeah, as soon as
I know you complained about the montage.
Yeah, because it was really confusing on like what the heck is happening here. And as soon as like her co-pilots were like trying to find her on like Earth planet and everything, I was like, that guy's the bad guy.
Oh, Jude Law.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I was like, something felt like really fishy.
See, I thought it was interesting. I mean, it was an interesting thing of like, okay, because I don't know anything about her backstory. Normally, I know kind of these characters' backstories, like when we did Spider-Man and when we did Aquaman. Like I know the backstories and stuff. Captain Marvel, I don't know anything about really.
Me
so
either.
It's like I didn't know who was good and bad. So it was an interesting switch up where it was like the Skrulls are actually the good guys or whatever. I mean, they're not really good guys. They're just kind of like mistaken. But it just felt like a weird kind of lazy almost storytelling. Like it just felt like it felt like a really long Star Trek episode. And I know you don't watch Star Trek, but like
yeah, no,
it just
no
it just feels like something straight out of like a 20-minute or 30-minute something Star Trek episode where somebody is like helping one alien race and it turns out they're bad and they're actually hurting the good guys. I don't know. It was just weird. And it felt like a really long, expensive Star Trek episode.
It also, like, I felt like we should have learned about the doctor a little bit sooner.
The doctor?
Or the scientist lady. I forget her name.
Oh, her teacher lady.
Yeah.
The unicorn or whatever they called her.
Yeah.
Or Pegasus.
Yeah, Pegasus. Because they kept giving away hints so much about it. It's like, okay, obviously, like, she has to be in some sort of, like, system or from, like, another planet. Like,
Well, especially when we saw her in the AI thing, when she wired up and then
yeah.
that's who she saw. You know, she was obviously an important figure.
It just felt like they took way too long to give us all the really cool parts. And then...
Yeah, when we find out she's part of the alien race, it's like, that's cool. Why didn't we get to that sooner? Why did we go half the movie thinking she was human?
Yeah.
You know, because it wasn't like a surprise, like, whoa, that really changes the story. Well, I mean, it does really change the story, but I mean, like, it didn't feel like such an impact if it was, like, earlier.
Yeah.
Because that's what I meant by it, so much happened at the very end. It was like, we found out she was alien, we found out Jude Law was bad, we found out the Skrulls were good, then she got her suit, then she got her powers, then she blew everything up, then Ronan, like, tried to destroy, but then she beat Ronan. That it was, like, so much in the last, like, 20-something minutes, and everything else was just boring exposition.
Yeah, it really was. Especially, like, with them, like, sitting around at her friend's house. Like, that just whole scene, like, took forever.
Wait, like, with the DVD and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
or the CD?
Okay, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, but it felt like the whole scene was just a
It
2
felt like
minute...
a filler.
Well, it was like a 2-minute filler scene just to make the joke of that she didn't know what downloading was.
Yeah.
Or loading.
Yeah.
Like, the whole joke was that she was, like, used to these high-tech speeds and whatever, and we're in the 90s, because it was set back in the 90s where, like, they had to put in a CD and wait for it to load, and, like, it did just feel like a filler scene where we just had to wait for the joke to be made that she doesn't know what loading is.
Yeah, and I mean, it just... all of that, like, whole part segment just seemed to take forever. Like, really...
The whole friend house really seemed...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, as soon as they were done at the base, after finding the files and everything, especially the book, like, I thought she was going to go through, like, the book and, like, decipher it a little bit more.
What book?
I don't...
Oh, the
like, scroll book or whatever she had on all the plans. Because she could obviously read it.
Oh, you mean the teacher's book, when
Yeah.
she found out that the teacher lady was a Kree.
Yeah. I was like, why aren't we looking at this more?
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like, okay, she opened up the book and the one guy's like, what is that? And she's like, oh, I know. And then
Yeah, that's
we
true.
Never, we never see those files opened again.
Because she talks about how she was building this, like, light speed force, and then they just never read her handwriting books.
No, never again. And the only thing that they cared about was the chip thing that they had gotten, like, what was it, 6 years ago or something?
Chip thing?
The Skrulls had, like, a reading sighting on Earth when the base was really in space.
Oh, coordinates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, on the chip on the CD
That
playing.
part was kind of cool. Where they were like, we're looking on Earth for this base and nothing's here, but really it's an orbiting, like, lab.
Yeah, that was really cool. But
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, they were so, like, interested in the CD file of what happened years ago versus this book that has all of her information on it.
I mean, you don't know it has all of her information, but it's at least
she
something.
doesn't even, like, flip through it. She just goes to the first page. I don't know. If I was her, I would have, like, looked through the book a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I would have rather seen more scenes on that and, like, getting to know her more than, like, the scrolls and, like, what they have to do with it. Like, because she was in that photo, too. Like, if she just would have taken a little bit more time to read more into the scientist research work and everything, because she was, like, in all those photos. And, like, from that photo, they went and found the friend.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, looking more into the scientist lady.
That friend, like, whole part still annoys me. Like, they were not nearly shocked enough that she was back. Like, the friend was just chill, and especially the kid. Like, okay, I can kind of understand the kid being like, hey, I knew you were like, whatever, but, like, you know, because kids, you can sometimes get by with just being like, oh, the adult had to move or go deploy somewhere or something like that. But that kid was old enough to understand what death is, and they obviously told the kid that she's dead.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, you're back, I knew you weren't dead. And it's like, what? Like, if a kid gets told that the person's dead, they're not going to be like that. And like seconds later, she's like happy to be showing her photos and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
and they said like nothing but like that little piece of her dog tag was left.
yeah, and she's like she walks in with Samuel L. Jackson and just like stroll in and they're just like buddy again 6 years later. Like they weren't nearly surprised enough or asking any questions really.
Like someone needed to pass out, someone needed to like freak out and be like, who
or at
the
the
heck
very
are
least
you?
like show more of her power to them. Because she was like, oh, don't believe me. And then she just, like, steamed a kettle.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Nick Fury did say, like, oh, she can do a lot more with that. But, like, I don't know. Like, at least show some sort of display. Put a montage there of her, like, blasting stuff or something like that. Or, like, charging energy into her plane so the rotor turns or something.
Yeah.
Like, do something to show, like, she actually has real power instead of just, like, heating up a kettle with her hands.
It was so settled. They were not shocked enough. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Like, someone needed to, like, pass out or freak out a little bit more. They were just like, I knew you weren't dead.
Well, and that's what I mean. It was just all exposition based where they had to be happy because they had to get right into showing old pictures of her. Because it was, like, exposition of more of her backstory and, like, supposed to be heartwarming where it's like, oh, the kid, like, cares for her and stuff like that. But it's like, we just met this kid. Like, we don't know. So there's no connection there. I don't know. It was a really, really long, weird kind of scene. And then all of a sudden, they just, like, well, first of all, they just parked that, like, military space jet just on her lawn, and they didn't notice.
But what about the neighbor? Didn't the neighbor, like, notice it?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought he did.
No. I mean, when they just walk up by the plane and the daughter's sitting in the plane and the mom is just working like on the workbench.
Oh yeah.
It just but then it cuts back later where that space jet thing is sitting right next to the house. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh
like,
yeah.
They just landed that there and they just didn't notice. Like they're just like,
it was
what?
really...
You're here? And it's like that military grade space jet is like feet from your house and you didn't hear it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There was no shock or like them running out of the house being like, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah, or like, who are you or anything.
Oh, it's just a coworker. But yeah, as I was saying, I was really disappointed we didn't get to see more of her powers like throughout. And I understand like, you know, she's trying to build the story and figure out like why she can't remember everything. And you gotta
save the like powerhouse powers for the end. Like the flight. They didn't have her fly until then.
Yeah, but
know?
like some of the other like blasting and some of the other stuff just like I don't know, even having her powers like wig out from like something, you know, because like she had the chip thing like on her neck and it's like
that was a cool twist too, that it was like suppressing her powers instead of like helping it.
I think that's the only part I liked about the movie.
The suit was pretty darn cool, to be honest.
It was badass.
Like once she changed the colors, the gold, like how it was shining off in the lighting, like it was actually really good.
Yeah.
You know, the green one was just kind of like whatever, but yeah, when she changed it to the gold one, it was like whoa, you know.
Yeah.
Because it was brand new too, because it was a different suit than when she like at the end
mm-hmm.
when Jude Law's character like crashed and you know.
Yeah.
It was all dirty and beat up because she had just done the whole space battle thing. But yeah, when it was brand new, that was pretty cool. Ooh. That was a weird.
It was a weird way of giving her suit.
Yeah, like
she's like had the kid and that was one thing. The kid just knew how to work the technology.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna bring that up.
Like
yeah.
I understand. Like okay, she probably showed it without like the movie clip actually like capturing it.
Well, she did it herself. She kind of just wiggled her finger.
Well, yeah, but like, how does the kid like know how to do that? I don't know. I just thought that was like kind of cheesy.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna bring that up. Because it obviously wasn't like a list where you just pick one.
Yeah.
It was like a thing where you had to drag the colors and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like.
But in the end, it was her who picked it anyways. She was like, let's represent the colors.
Yeah.
And then she looks down at the kid's tea.
Yeah. The Air Force colors, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're right. The suit was really cool. But the kid and the whole, like, figuring out how to use alien technology.
And then she just ruined the suit by putting the leather jacket on. Like, the kid was like, here, take it now. Which is like, earlier she said, no, keep it in case I don't come back. And then now, like, yeah, she's super powerful, but still have the kid keep it.
I thought she was going to give it to the kid and then the kid's gonna grow up and be like a part of like the Avengers like shield or something.
Oh yeah,
and
you
be
did
like,
ask
this is
that.
my
Yeah.
armor. Like I thought that
That's
was
what makes sense. And then she took it anyways, and then flew off, and then it just ruined the whole outfit because she's wearing this leather jacket in space.
Wouldn't it burn up though?
Well, yeah, technically, in terms of physics, yes, but like,
Because it's not made out of her suit material.
yeah. I mean, if you want to get real world, yeah, it would be incinerated in seconds. But, I mean, unless you wanted to say something like, oh, her power was surrounding it as a force field, and that's how
I'm
she
not
doesn't
even gonna
burn
get
up,
into that.
you know, whatever. But,
Yeah, no, I thought the kid was like gonna keep it. And then the other thing is like we don't really hear like what happens to the kid and her friend like after she leaves. Like, are they under special like agent protection now?
well, Nick Fury did offer the mom to be a shield agent.
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, when they were all having dinner at the end, Nick Fury was like, well, we're always looking for pilots or something, and she was like, oh, maybe, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
So I assume she becomes part of S.H.I.E.L.D. in some way or whatever.
Yeah. The eye patch thing makes a lot more sense though.
Yeah,
Now
how he
that
got scratched by the...
That
the
was
animal
too
thing.
funny.
Because it's always a thing, too. It's like, how did Nick Fury get his eye patch? Because they never really talk about it.
Mm-hmm. By a dumb cat that's not really a cat.
That was a weird plot thing. Of
It
just
was
having
weird
the
how, like-
cat running around, and it... Well, you know, it's one of those movie things where it's like, oh, we gotta have a cute thing there to sell, like, tickets. You know, that's what Baby Groot is for.
Yeah.
You know, that's what any, like, little side character thing is for. But it was just weird how they put it in there. It's just like, okay, let's just throw the cat in
They
there
didn't
randomly.
explain it though. Like,
Yeah.
how did like I can't remember what they called it, the cat.
Yeah, no, I don't remember.
But how did the cat thing know it needed to go with them? How did the cat thing just be like, okay, when
Yeah,
they
'cause
were
that means-
carrying the lunchbox and
'cause-
they're like, we need to
yeah.
hide the cube, and that's just like
Well,
swallows
because
it.
it means it's on their side, but it doesn't seem, like, sentient in a way. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's obviously on their side. It's
Yeah.
protecting the Tesseract, and, like, it follows them all around, and it warns them, like, with stuff.
Yeah.
But it was really weird how... And they only revealed what it actually was at the very end. Like, it was a joke with the Skrulls that they were scared of it.
Yeah.
But then,
Because
like...
like apparently they knew what it was, but you would think they would explain it a little bit more.
Yeah, like, they made the joke that he's, like, scared of the cat, and it's supposed to be like, oh, haha, alien scared of a cat. But like... They didn't keep that joke running of, like, oh, he's just scared of a cat. They already had him say, like, that's not a cat.
Yeah, I can't
So then
remember.
the rest of the movie, you're just like, okay, like, it's not a cat, then what the heck is it? And then right at the end, it just has a tentacle face, and then you're like, okay.
Yeah. It was very confusing and, like, a weird way to, like, take it. Like, I would have liked to know that, like, oh, it's this guardian that, like, so-and-so, like, sent
Yeah,
here.
and it was also her boss's, like, pet. Like, it was in the pictures and stuff or
Yeah.
whatever. And so just say, like, have some note where it's like, oh, she found it on this planet when she was traveling, and now it's sworn... Sort of like a Han and Chewie story, where
Yeah.
Chewie has a life debt to Han.
Yeah.
Like, just have it be something like that, where it's like, oh, now the creature just kind of follows her around or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, just have something that explains it. Instead of just this alien being that now all of a sudden ate the Tesseract, and they just aren't going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Like...
Or even at the end, they don't show the cat again, really.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, Captain America has it.
Yeah.
Like in Winter Soldier. Or not Winter Soldier. First Avenger.
Yes. It's so confusing. Like, the, like...
I mean, I
time-
think you're supposed to understand that Nick Fury somehow got it back, or something like that, where they got a hold of it. But...
Okay, the
was
last
just
thing
weird.
I remember seeing him doing was, like, picking out a glass eye. Okay.
And he
There
didn't
was-
even pick it out.
Yeah. There was,
Well,
like...
yeah, that's another thing is, like, with the whole exposition thing of the movie. It's just... This whole movie was just... They include it as, like, oh, it's part of the Marvel Universe thing. And it is. But, like, at the root of it, it's only building the story for her for Endgame and an origin story for Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, other than that, you don't get really anything else. It's just, like, it's
You
kind of
don't
just
learn
there.
anything else about, like, the planet she, like, thought she was from, or, like, what were the blue guys on the radar thing that they were talking to? Like,
the blue guys.
They came to get the why can't I think of it? They were like, we're coming back for the woman.
Oh, yeah, Ronan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know much about like what they had to do with the planet that she thought she came from.
Yeah, that's why
Or
I said
anything.
I actually said like what to that, like in the theater.
Yeah, you did.
Because like, I mean, he's from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's a bad guy in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, I guess I just might not know his story, but all of a sudden he's just there in this movie, and somehow he becomes more powerful and more dangerous in the next one. Which does that mean? Because he also had ties to Thanos in Guardians. So does that mean that like her planet of like Kree has ties to Thanos? It's all this stuff that I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Which maybe might come up in Endgame. I don't know. Maybe all of a sudden the Kree come back to help Thanos fight or something.
Yeah.
That'd be insane. But like, I don't know. Maybe that's another point that's gonna tie into. It's like, oh, we thought that we were just not getting anything out of this world, but really, like, we actually are, or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of like military force. The Kree people were pretty crazy. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
Like that was military type looking stuff. You know, they had the sniper and like the weird green lightsaber weird stuff.
Yeah. It didn't seem like a different kind of planet people.
I mean, they had like blue people and whatever.
No, but I mean like the way they went about like attacking people.
Yeah. Well, it didn't help that the two main characters that we learned of them are human. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we assume Jude Law's human. He's probably not, but whatever. I'm glad Jude Law turned out to be a bad guy. Like, he's a cool bad guy.
Yeah. He just looked like a bad guy.
Yeah, he kind of
like
has.
From the start.
I mean, from the start, he just kind of seems like her like military teacher to me.
Yeah, like
he didn't seem like a bad guy at the very start. But then once it turned into like the mission type thing.
I don't know, but he seemed like very oddly curious about like her dreams that he was having.
He kept asking like what she sees and
yeah, he was like, he wasn't like very like supportive of like, oh, like what are you seeing? I mean, like I get it, like it's a mentor, but he was like, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
It was like very tactful. And then can we also like talk about how Captain Marvel has like the best superpowers out of like what's gonna be all of the Avengers? Say that,
like the most powerful. Well, she's the most powerful.
Yeah,
like she just is.
She's just totally gonna kick butt over everybody else.
Well, and that's why
like it's gonna be her and Thor. Like
that's why it is smart marketing. Like you make a couple $100 million off of this movie just to lead her into the next one, which is gonna make a couple billion. So it's like crazy good marketing. I mean, you're introducing another character that's going to help in the next one that you can make like some side cash on.
I just feel like the end game is just gonna have a lot of conflict again between Captain America and now Captain Marvel.
Oh, you mean like a kind of Civil War type thing where he was upset
yeah,
with, like,
because
Tony
he's
Stark?
just so cocky in all the movies.
Captain America?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like
you don't like Captain America.
He like starts to tone it down in Infinity Wars, you know. But I feel like with her coming in and being like, well, I'm a captain too. There's gonna be like conflict
from the end credit scene. She's already stuck up.
Yeah.
Like she's like, "Where's Fury?" Like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be weird to see how that ties in, but yeah, the whole movie really is just like it's just a selling point for that. Like that's the root of it. Is they just
really
know
just
they need
was
to
setting it up.
They know they need to build her for the next one, and it's whatever. I mean, that's what comics are. It's fine. I just mean as a movie standpoint, like I didn't like it, and I'm not gonna see it again.
Yeah.
You know, like Bayless and I talk about that all the time. It's like, oh well, are you gonna see this again later or whatever? Like. Not really. Like, I'll watch a clip of the last, like, 20 minutes or something.
If they put it on Netflix, yeah, maybe for, like, a movie night in or something, but...
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, like...
But it was just so boring up until then.
Yeah, it was very boring. And like I said, I usually like movies, and like we were saying earlier, I really liked Wonder Woman, and I thought it was gonna be a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't. And... for the first, like, full movie with a female lead for Marvel, I was really expecting a lot more from it. Like, they could have done so much more. And, like, another thing I didn't talk about, She had so many just like one-liners where I really just
Yeah,
wanted.
you didn't like the humor.
Yeah, it's not that I didn't like the humor. It was I didn't feel like we ever got like a speech from her.
A speech?
Not like a speech, but like it just felt like it was like one or two lines. Like she never had like a script. You know? Like it didn't feel like she was ever really having a conversation with someone else.
Oh, yeah. Like, you mean like the full dialogue of her?
Yeah, the dialogue was just very short. And
And I think that led into her, like, the whole movie, she feels cocky. Even when she's out of her element on Earth, she's still like, oh, you guys don't know what this is. And she's just, like, strutting around, and, like, Nick Fury's, like, trying to talk to her, and she's like, whatever, dude. You know? Like, the whole time, she's really cocky. And then, like, even when she finds out she's been wrong the whole time, she still, like, just gets angry.
Yeah, like, there was, like, no, like, devastation or anything.
Yeah,
like,
she didn't seem that
confusion.
shocked that the Kree was bad.
Yeah.
She was kind of just like, oh, okay, well, then I'm on the Skrull side.
Yeah. She's like, I'm just gonna take down the bad guy. I don't care who it is.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like she said, like, she didn't remember anything before, and this is all she's known for, like, 6 years or whatever, and she just didn't seem that shocked that she was basically being brainwashed.
Yeah. And, or how, like, it seemed like it was really hard for her mentor to, like, have to battle her and everything. Like, he said, oh, like, you can't, like, control yourself when he crashed his, like, little spaceship thingy.
Oh, at the end.
And she just goes, boom.
Yeah, they pulled an Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Like, she just, like, had
I knew that was one predictable one, too. Because she's just walking, and she's like, oh, I know my powers now. And he's, like, trying to fist fight. It was so obvious. When he says, no powers, no weapons, no anything, just fist fight me. As soon as he said that, it's, like, so obvious she's just going to blast him.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he said no powers, it's like, okay, like, she's not going to listen.
But at least, like, he was, you know, like, it seemed like there was a little bit of, like, resistance for him to want to fight her, like, to use weapons, and that's why he's like, okay, like, we're gonna fist this out.
Oh, yeah, well, because it just leads back to how they were training, where he kept saying no powers, no powers.
Yeah.
Which, when they reveal that he's bad, and they were just suppressing her powers, it just shows that, like, he wasn't trying to teach her to control powers, he was trying to teach her not to use them.
Yeah.
You know?
But, like, for her, she had no issue, like, kicking his ass. I don't know, I just feel like she should have, like, struggled a little bit more with, like, wanting to attack him, instead of just being like, oh, you, like, wronged me, and everything.
At the end with the pod thing.
Yeah.
Well, and especially when she just doesn't really even talk to him. She just kind of loads him back into the pod and then sends him away.
Yeah, she wasn't like, why? Why did you do this to me?
That part was
kinda
funny,
thing.
though, where, like, the pod was out of juice, so she just blasted
Yeah.
it, and it, like, gained all this energy.
That was, like, the only community thing
and
that
also,
I enjoyed.
at the very root of it, this is a really kind of weak... And, like I said, not knowing anything about her story, it's kind of a lame origin story. Like, she just crashes with this pilot who did all the work in building the engine, and then she blows up the engine and then just gets sucked all the power,
All the power, like, absorbs into her body from the shock.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, like, to me that's just kind of a lame story. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about anybody. It's like, oh, Spider-Man just got bit by a spider. But, like, they made it visually cool, but to me, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, it sounds like every other superhero origin story is kind of lame. But, like, I think it's because she didn't do anything. Like, she happened to be in that pilot seat and whatever, and, like...
But same with, like, Spidey.
I know. It just seems kind of lame where it's like, okay, well, let me say it this way. It's lame that she's so powerful for doing...
So little.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Is, like... It wasn't some, like, Hulk thing where Banner was testing serums and he was the scientist and he became strong. It was just she was in the right place at the right time, so got all this power. Like, Thor's the god of, like, Asgard. Like, this, like, epic badass type thing. And she just kind of, like, she soaked up some energy from some alien tech. And then she's, like, more powerful than Thor. That's what I'm trying to say. Is, like, it's just kind of lame that she's so powerful with, like, a lame kind of entry into it.
And then they don't
Maybe it's just me, I don't know.
But I think what also is hard is that they don't really explain the energy.
Yeah, they're
Like,
just
they
like, oh,
just
it's
say
an
it's
energy
this
thing.
very, very powerful, strong energy that everyone wants to get their hands on, which is why I think that the energy she was creating has something to do with the cube that the cat ate.
Well, the cube is the Tesseract, which is an Infinity Stone.
Okay, but like still, I feel like the energy that she created is based off the stone.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, so I don't know if it is.
I feel like her like superpower energy is what's going to take to like destroy the stones because there's no other energy.
So sort of like a Harry Potter thing where Voldemort had to kill the Harry Potter Horcrux.
Yeah.
Like only he could destroy it
That's
himself.
my prediction.
That's your end game prediction?
Yes. What's yours? Because I mean,
We're not talking about Endgame though.
no, it's a prediction. We haven't seen it.
And that's the problem about Captain Marvel is like there's nothing to theorize. Like there's no ending to be like, oh, what'd you think of like that or this? It's like, okay, like she just won, you know?
Yeah, she won, and she's like, I'm gonna help like hitch a ride with these guys.
Yeah, and
in
then
the
she
next
just
universe.
pieces out for however many years.
Yeah.
Well, since the 90s, so like 20 years.
Yeah. But like, even Thor couldn't like kill Thanos in the stones.
Yeah.
So like, why?
Well, technically Scarlet Witch could kill the stone. Because
Well-
she broke Vision's stone.
Yeah, but who else has powers like that? Captain Marvel.
It's almost like they're planning something.
Oh no, no! I feel like she's gonna play like a really big role in it.
Oh, for sure. That's why they made the movie before. It's the same thing as Black Panther. Like, they made the Black Panther movie knowing that it would do well, so they had already put him... Actually, well, it was backwards. They put him in Civil War. They knew he would do well, so they were already making the movie. Then they knew the movie would do well, so they already put him in Infinity War. Like, it's just that thing. They like Marvel's so big right now is that they just know stuff's gonna work. So, Endgame was done before Captain Marvel was even released, so they know it's gonna do well. That's the whole thing with Marvel.
Yeah.
You know? So they know she's gonna be a big powerhouse because they already know how she's gonna handle in the movie.
I guess I'm just saying I feel like we're gonna figure out more about her origin story in Endgame than we are her actual movie, unless I make a sequel.
Well, we already know her origin story. That's the whole point of this movie.
Well, I mean, as in like
Oh, you
more
mean like
purpose.
You mean her with her powers and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like exploring her powers and her purpose.
Yeah.
Because like besides like, you know, saving Earth without anybody else knowing, you know, like what other accomplishments does she have on her resume? Where like everyone else has like been in conflicts here and there. Like Thor's visited Earth before and then comes back for the Avengers.
Well, and it's weird too because she flies off without having some sort of like major purpose. She just like there's no like, oh, I gotta go battle this person or something. It's she flies off saying, I'm gonna find the Skrulls at home.
Because that's what Pegasus was doing.
Pegasus
Was doing. Was trying to find them.
No,
homes.
I know, but I mean like it would make more sense if she was gone for this long and not caring about Earth at all. If she was like had some huge thing to handle.
Yeah.
But she just flies away being like, I'm gonna go find them a planet.
She's just a good person.
No, I know, but I'm saying like, why is it taking that long? Like, you just find a planet and dump them off.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, and like, there's nothing else of her being like, oh, and then I'm gonna go here and do this or like whatever.
But that's what
you
I'm
know?
saying. I think we're gonna find out in Endgame like why
What
she was
was-
gone
yeah,
so
what she
long.
was doing. Yeah.
And then also like, I know they show like her pager that she made
Yeah.
for Fury, but like, how did she just get in through like all that security and everything else?
Oh, at the end credit scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when she just appears.
Yeah. Like she just appears and she's like, "Where's Fury?"
Well, that's another one we haven't really even touched on is Samuel L. Jackson as Fury, like the de-aging of him. It's all anybody really wants to talk about is like how they made him look like he was in the 90s again. Which, I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like the technology, it really works, especially if you compare it to like Rogue One with like young Leia and like Grand Moff Tarkin and stuff. Like the de-aging is crazy because he was moving, like it was a real person moving the whole time. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. And like we haven't even
I didn't
talked
even
about it.
think about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like super old now. He's like 70 something or whatever.
Yeah,
and they
I
had to make
completely
him.
forgot. He
yeah,
looked good.
Yeah, they had to make him look like he was in the 90s. And there's
Yeah.
pictures of him compared to his movies in the 90s versus Captain Marvel. And it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy how similar it looks. Same thing with like Agent Coulson. Nobody's talking about Agent Coulson. Everyone's talking about Samuel L. Jackson de-aging. Like Coulson looks old now, and they made him look like he was like 20 something. And that was cool getting to see him. Because he's in like Shield and stuff, and he was in Avengers. You know, you probably recognize him from that. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I mean, the de-aging was pretty insane, especially because he was moving around the whole time.
I thought it was really funny how he only uses his like last name to like reference. He's like, you don't call me Nicholas Joseph.
Oh
like,
yeah, and
Fury.
it's such a setup because
You don't call me Nicholas, and you for sure don't call me Nick.
Yeah, and it was like a setup to show that the guy was a Skrull because he called in Nick or Nicholas or something. Oh, I haven't even gotten to that. Okay, it's not this show without me going on and on about how freaking much I love Ben Mendelsohn. I talk about him all the time. Like every time he comes up, he's my absolute favorite. Like he was in Robin Hood that we did, and I went on and on about loving him in that. Like he was the only good part of Robin Hood, but he just kills it. Like in every movie he's in. Like I just absolutely love him in everything he does.
He was the main Skrull, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he was in Ready Player One too, and he's just like, I said the same thing in Robin Hood. Like he needs to be every badass mafia guy in any movie ever. Like he just like is so terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just kills it in everything, and like I said, he saved Robin Hood. That was the only good thing about Robin Hood that I liked, and the same thing with this movie. Like his like intensity in everything he does when it comes to like him being like a bad guy as a Skrull, to him being a human and just being like a normal guy, because he was also a human. The guy at the autopsy with the glasses, and he ended up being a Skrull with Nick. We were just talking about it when he calls Nick.
Yeah.
That's Ben Mendelsohn. That's his human. Like that's what he looks like normal. But then he was also the main Skrull, so he played two characters.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
I didn't know
And he's so good. And like, so in terms of being the bad guy as the Skrull, being a normal human as the boss guy who gets like taken over as a Skrull, so he looks like a bad guy, to being a good guy as a Skrull at the end, like he just plays them all so perfectly. Cause like he's a terrifying man, but then like when he becomes a good Skrull, becomes like I don't know how else to say it other than like when you realize they're good, like then he's like a caring person and you actually like care about what he's saying. It's like he turns that scary voice into like a caring father voice kind of thing.
Well, especially like when he like finds his like wife alien and his
the
like kid
yeah.
alien. I was just like, oh.
I know, and he's so good. And like obviously you couldn't recognize him in the Skrull makeup, but like, well, and then his humor is just great. Like as a Skrull, where he's just kind of like messing around. What we were talking about with the friend's house.
Yeah.
The only joke I didn't really like is when he walks in and he's holding the cup. Like he's drinking out of like a normal cup.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really get that, and I didn't think it was that funny. But his like one-liners, like you're saying the Captain Marvel one-liners were bad. His one-liners were great.
Yeah, his were good.
Yeah, and he's like when the mom looks out and sees the Skrull talking with the daughter.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh my god, what's that?" He's like, "Don't worry about it," or something like that. Yeah. He just kind of he like weighs it under the rug, like it's not that weird to this human that she's seeing herself talking to her daughter outside.
Yeah.
And like when he's reacting with the cat and all that stuff, I don't know. He totally steals every scene he's ever in for me.
Yeah.
You know? And he just made the movie for me.
Yeah, he was a really good like component. Like I agree. I don't think anyone else would have been able to play those roles any better.
Yeah, because he's got to do all of them. Like good, bad, normal, like all that stuff.
Oh, you didn't even talk about like when he pretends to be
Coulson?
No, at the very end when they're on the spaceship trying to get away and he's like escorting his family like on the ship.
Oh, when he's pretending to be a Kree.
Yeah,
yeah,
Kree.
That was cool. Yeah.
Like even that was like really cool. Like his humor you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because Fury was like, oh no, because they run into him in the hallway,
well,
and then the cat like rubs up on the leg.
Yeah.
And he's like, traitor.
Well, because he was holding it up and it wasn't attacking him, and he couldn't understand why it wasn't attacking him.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's because he's a good guy, and the cat knows that it's a good guy, which again leads into not explaining what the cat does.
Yeah. But even that part, like, he played really well. And then, like, right at the moment you needed to know, he's like, yeah, cover your guys' eyes.
Wait,
like,
that was
it's all
another
good.
sweet
Like, I got
part
you.
of like being the dad kind of thing, where it's like you realize he is just a caring alien instead of a bad guy. He's
Yeah.
like, don't let the kids see this, you know, because
Yeah.
he talks about it where he's like, no, I've had to like battle a lot, or no, he said it earlier when they first found all the other scrolls. He's like, I've like, he said my hands are dirty from War 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
But
Yeah,
it, like you
that was
said,
a
it was a
sweet
really sweet, like,
yeah.
warming moment.
where he's like, don't let the kids see it, and
Yeah.
then the kid sees it anyways, and they just don't address it. Like the kid like totally looks and sees it.
Yeah. That's the kid's fault, though. But yeah. No, it was a very interesting movie, and I don't think we'll see it again.
No, I mean it's definitely just like it's there. It like I said at the very beginning. It's just Ant-Man 2 for me. It's just kind of there, and it just leads into the next thing. Because Ant-Man 2, spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp, like it just leads into why he is alive for Infinity War, or not Infinity War, Endgame.
Yeah.
Like it explains why he's not there in Infinity War, and it explains how he's alive during the snap for Endgame. And so it's like it's kind of just there to be a filler story, but also add to the next story. But it's not really its own whole picture to me.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with this. It's like
It doesn't stand alone.
yeah,
It's
just
not
kind
a
of
standalone, like, movie.
I
Like,
mean, like it is, but it's like because we like I can like we read between the lines of like, oh, this is just setting up for this or this.
okay, but I didn't see Black Panther until at home. Like, I never went and saw it in the movie
Yeah.
theater. I went and saw Infinity War, and I'm like, who the heck's this guy? And I watched Black Panther, like, what, a month or two ago?
Something like that, yeah.
And that seems like more of a standalone movie than Captain
Yeah,
Marvel.
because it doesn't set up anything else. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these like that. Like Black Panther has its own story and it doesn't tie in anybody else.
Yeah.
Like the main villain is like not even just the main villain, just everybody really in the story is in that story. But in this we already have Shield, we already have Nick Fury, we already have Ronan coming in randomly. Like all this stuff is like we already know is connected to the other stories, so it already doesn't feel like a full story. Like Black Panther was its full story, and then they brought him into other
It
stuff.
kind of felt like a teaser trailer for Endgame.
yeah. I mean, it is. It's just teasing like, oh, she's just gonna come in and destroy Face in Endgame.
Oh yeah, and then how he gets the name for the Avengers, he takes off of her.
Yeah, for thing. Yeah,
off her
because
plane.
it says like the something initiative, and he fixes it to Avenger initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's just like it's a whole setup for Shield, Nick Fury. You know, it's an interesting take of like, oh, let's give the origin story like it was the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're going way back before anything else. You know, because that's before even like Iron Man became Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know, which is, and then it just kind of throws plot holes of like, how did nobody hear about this?
Exactly.
Or like anything. It's like
how did no one see the big explosives in the sky
yeah,
in the
they
90s?
don't really address like the kind of.
Or is that like where they start talking about UFOs or something?
Yeah, but even then, like, do you think Tony Stark, he would have known about that? Like, he literally makes missile defense systems.
Yeah. Like, how does her name never come up when
weird
he's
stuff,
like,
but... Well, the
putting it all
overall
together.
look of the 90s, they did a good job on.
yeah,
Like,
it was really cool.
looked, like, pretty decent. I mean, it looked like some of the time it looked like today's 90s, like what today we would have thought of the 90s. It didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't go full 90s, but for the most part, it was like, oh yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
It's
please,
just-
if anybody can tell me what the cat thing was and its point of being in the movie.
Well, I mean, no one's gonna know until like. I don't think we'll ever know. Honestly, they're not gonna bring it back in Endgame.
It just.
It was a weird thing, and it was just there to sell tickets. You know, it's a cat, and it was cute. But then half the time it was CGI.
Yeah.
Like when they had it floating in the spaceship and stuff. Yeah, it was just a weird CGI cat.
Yeah, on the credit rolls, I had like 4 different cats.
Yeah, they had different trainers and stuff too. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of there, and I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, it's just kind of there. It's just one of those side ones, like Ant-Man and the Wasp for me. Although, I wonder which one I like better. This one's cooler in terms of like powers and suit and stuff. Ant-Man was kind of meh, but yeah, she's definitely gonna come in. And
I can't even remember the Wasp movie, so
yeah. See, that's what I mean. Well, and that's what I said at the very beginning of this. It's only been like 2 days, and I already forget like pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
You know, I only started remembering stuff once we talked about it for the last
Yeah,
hour.
we were debating on whether we should go and see it again, just so we would remember
'cause
every single
and
detail.
I didn't want to go see it again because I didn't like it. So it's like here we are trying to figure out details for an hour.
Yeah.
Which is usually what Bayless and I do anyways. But yeah, end of story. She's gonna come in and just completely destroy an Endgame. Like, I hope they at least try to put up a fight.
Yeah.
Like between like Thanos and her or whatever. Like, I don't know how they're gonna do that. Like, whatever. We'll see.
Doesn't it come out in like a month?
Yeah, like end of April, I think.
Gonna go and see
We'll
it.
figure it out. We'll see. We'll find out what happens.
Hopefully we see the cat again.
We're not gonna see the cat.
I'm kidding. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It was fun and different. We usually talk about this stuff anyways.
Bayless sounds very different this
Yeah.
episode. Well, so if you guys want to let me know your thoughts on the movie, or if you think we're just totally wrong, because we ask that, like Bayless and I ask that all the time. It's like, if you guys seriously disagree with us, email us and let us know, because I want to hear if you liked one part that we hated or something like that. You can email me at themidnightshowingpod@gmail.com. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube is all the same at The Midnight Showing, and Twitter is backwards at Showing Midnight. Okay, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay,